Welcome back to part 2 of how our little farm and garden went in the year 2021. We did the greenhouse already, now we're doing all the outdoor spaces of many multiple kinds of crops, a lot of biodiversity interspersed. So I'll just go through it quickly, and there's too many things to show you everything, just some of the highlights. Okay, I just changed my mind and decided to start with what I was working on just now, is sorting out the wonderful harvest of red corn, just a little bit of the harvest here for braiding. So I posted a bunch of still photos of corn already on Facebook, but no videos, haven't done any of that. So this is the Navajo Redcorn. I will maybe make another video the next time I go and get a bunch of popcorn, because that's pretty nice looking too. Beautiful, beautiful corn. So much diversity too. These ones are more of the normal color of Navajo corn. Those ones and these ones right here. Beautiful. And then you get all kinds of colors popping up now and then. Even that wampum looking color combination. I've gotten some that were really blue and white and purple and white, like the quahog clams back east. Clam shells. Okay, now back to where I was going to start the tour. We'll go back over there. Lots of purples and pinks too this time. So, as I always say, biodiversity is the secret to life. When one crop has a hard time, you'll always have something else that's doing good. And the nut trees didn't have so many this year, but the nuts they did produce are pretty nice. And grapes didn't do much of anything this year except put out a lot of new foliage. Pruned them kind of late, that was another thing. But in the last 2 falls, we've had freak freezes in September that killed back some of our trees and shrubs and things. And then this year we had a really extreme heat, just like most of the rest of the world had in this hottest summer on record, and about 2 months of daily temperatures in the 90s, a couple days in the hundreds. It was extreme, and there is some heat stress, as you can see in this pear tree, but overall it's doing very well. These Bartlett pears are just about ready to harvest. Okay, and then our juice apples that are in the Macintosh family, but have a different name that I don't remember. And we already harvested some of those. And so apples did good, grapes didn't, nuts didn't, and squash, a lot of it didn't put out female flowers. But oddly enough, this pumpkin, and we don't usually have a pumpkin patch here in this pathway, but it came out of the compost over here, and this time I decided to let it go. And this is basically one plant. Kind of reminds me of the delicata squash in the greenhouse I was showing you. Comes right out of the compost pit here, and there's one little other kind of squash over on the left there that's not a pumpkin. Where's that squash? There it is. Over in there you can see what kind that is. And that wasn't so productive, but this one was in clusters. Like here you can see these beautiful deep orange to red orange pumpkins. We're not sure what kind they are. That's why we don't usually let them grow out of the compost, because sometimes we get seeds that we didn't really plant, and we don't know what they are and where they came from, and we can't be sure they're not, what's that called? Anyway, bioengineered, or whatever they are. GMOs. So I don't think these are. We can eat them, but not sure about saving the seeds till I get a positive identification on them. But beautiful pumpkins though, and surely worth eating. Here's another one over here, branched out into the strawberry bed. Yeah. Same type, it just, I don't know, maybe that one gets more sun or something and turned yellowish orange. It's coming off the same vines. Here's a smaller one. So there you go. Big plant. Very nice. We don't usually do well with pumpkins, but this probably shows us that we need to grow them in rich soil like the compost, something that's really got a lot of vitality to it. Okay, bunch of pole beans there. We had a good crop of those yellow transparents off of that tree back there. And over here you can see that the Honey Crisp apples are doing great this year without any of the problems from last year. They didn't produce hardly any last year, and now we're back to the good production and quality. And I think I pruned it a little. I didn't prune it all the way to the top this year. We're getting old, and it's kind of hard for me to do ladder work these days. Get a little help now and then, but it's not as easy as it used to be. Beautiful. We'll harvest these sometime soon. There's a cherry tree that looks like it died. I might just cut the dead part out and It was from that winter, and this one too. The sweet cherries died, but the pie cherries, let's go over there. The tart ones, they're doing great as usual. We picked a lot of cherries from all these, and the ones on the other side of the house, and the walnuts way down there. The plants are doing well. We didn't get any nuts. These hazelnuts that did well for so many years are going to need a new start. I'll prune them way down. Lots of wild sunflowers here next to strawberries and grapes. Probably most people that see this have seen the long tour videos before, so I'm not going to go into all that detail. Just a little update is all we're trying to do now. Had a pretty good crop of potatoes. Noah's in the midst of harvesting those now. A lot more to go. Pretty good bunch of carrots in there. And the wild plants like the plantain and the what do you call this, catnip, they're still here as they are every year, attracting pollinators. Okay, and then we'll go take a look at the hugelkultur beds this year. This year I decided to just use it for spillover from the greenhouse, what we didn't have room to plant in the other beds. And so we had a lot of leftover cabbage. Had more marigold flowers than could fit in the planters by the house, so we brought some of those out here. Nice pollinator attractors. And here's, you can see some of that catnip that stays greener longer on the hugelkultur beds. Looks like you've had a lot of predator insects on the cabbage, but we are getting a little head there forming. Didn't really expect much from these because they were planted last, pretty late. Just we're always experimenting, you know, and improvising on things a lot of the time, and that's one way that we learn. Okay. And then on this hugelkultur bed, the mint is really proliferated all around it and in it. And we planted leeks on this one and marigolds. So that's the hugelkultur for 2021. We've grown all kinds of things on the hugelkultur beds, but we kind of saved it for last this year. There's just so much else to do. Okay, we'll go over there now and see what's going over in that part of the garden. There's the old greenhouse. Now here's some much better looking cabbage that we planted earlier, and we've already harvested a lot of the heads. of this cabbage. More leeks, and as you can see, there's some oats in there that came up from the straw mulch. Yellow sweet corn we planted too late, but we'll get some out of it, and we'll need to improve that soil for next year. And as I was saying in the other video, part 1, drip lines is the new feature in the garden this year. So we looked at the drip lines in the greenhouse, and now we'll look at them outside here. I'm going to start on the other side. So here you can see that the drip line's connected to one of our garden hoses coming out of the pump station over there. So it has a pressure reducer, so you don't ever get it coming too fast through the pipe and into the lines too fast. So it maintains this 7 gallons per minute maximum, which is very adequate for what we're doing here. So that line goes to the individual drip tapes, as you see there, running through that corn. Here's one connected to the line. What are you guys doing? Here's lines coming out of the main plastic pipe into cauliflowers, which we did pretty well with the cauliflowers this year. And as I said, the squashes didn't do so well this year. I think the extreme heat prevented them from putting out female flowers. They just weren't going to fight the heat, I guess. Bunch of bush beans, and over there pole beans on tripods. There's the kind of wild land interface going on here. Now we got one red curry squash developing. Didn't have any female flowers till about a week ago, and we got this one. Last year the red curry were plentiful and did fine. So that's another illustration of the value of biodiversity. You'll have years where your squash doesn't do well, but you have plenty else to eat if you're growing all kinds of things like we are. Zucchini produce. Seems like nothing can stop zucchini. They're not growing as fast as they usually do, but we've been getting a steady flow of them. Even in September, we're still getting them. And we've harvested quite a few. Okay. Kind of like these tripod arrangements. So now we're coming into the Redcorn patch, which did great, and we've already been harvesting that for about a week and a half maybe. And so I wanted to get on this video before we've harvested most of them, and I think we actually have harvested most of them, and or at least half of them. But anyway, you can see those are doing really well. They liked the drip lines. The drip lines prevented us from having to weed very much because the water was arranged to go right to the corn roots, and the competitors didn't really have much water to compete with the corn. The beautiful red corn that you just saw on the table spread out. And I'll be harvesting more today after I tie those, braid those ones that were on the table and tie the ends and hang them up. So, Three Sisters technique again. We've got the Hidatsa Shield beans again this year, growing up the vines, as you can see everywhere. Hope I'm getting my camera on the right stuff here. I can't see very good. Okay, I better stop complaining about getting old. It's just fine. So, and then the other sister is the watermelon this time instead of squash. And again, planted that late. We got one big watermelon here, not really even big, but big enough. It's gonna get ripe, I think, before frost. We're not supposed to have frost till second week of October is what they're predicting now. So that's good for us late folks. Okay, and then over there you can see the blue corn patch. Didn't do as well as usual. Again, I think it is in the, well, it definitely is in the driest part of the land here. Even though it's next to a wetland, it's at the edge of the dry part before you get to the wet part where all the quaking aspen community is flourishing there. So just one little thing to show you that's new this year at the edge of our blue corn is this Algonquin corn that was gifted to me from one of my Wampanoag relatives in Massachusetts. Kind of looks like zucchini, but they're short and different shape, you know. I can't wait to try it. I'm not sure when it'll be ripe. There's one, and we've got another nice looking one down at the other end. Actually, two of them down here. I'm not sure if this one's going to get big. That little one, I'll get a few bites by October maybe. Then there is the other one that's more the size of the one I just showed you from Cousin Eva. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so I think the heat was another factor here. extreme heat. You can see the beans are doing better. They handle the heat a little better than the corn does. So we'll see. We'll be happy with whatever we get, you know. We have so much. And last crop, I think I'll show you from outside the greenhouse, and in the field is the tomatoes. We've harvested a lot of tomatoes and they're still coming. A lot of varieties. Noah pretty much is the tomato keeper. And we've got drip lines on these too this year. And down at the end there, one thing I'll show you that's new is Tomatillas. We never grew them before, at least not that I remember. I don't think we ever did. And maybe in Oregon 40 years ago, but since we've been here in Montana 36 years, I'm pretty sure no Tomatillas, and they're doing pretty good, and I look forward to harvesting these. I think he already harvested a couple of them and put them in some of his amazing salsa that he makes. Bet we'll do some more of these next year. They look good. Okay, well, like I said, this isn't about everything we do, you know. Just a little update. There's the greenhouse. Oh yeah, we're seeing those frogs everywhere now. Not just in the greenhouse. They're out here. I saw one in the Redcorn yesterday. So it's been a wonderful event this year, seeing the little tree frogs return to this land as it rejuvenates and regenerates. When you let life live naturally without any chemical interference or plowing and all that. Okay, well that's it for now. Good enough. Be well, stay well. Avoid the craziness if you can. Won't talk about this dystopian society right now, but stay well, everybody.